Hey, what's choppin', boys? Hope you're ready to toss some rocks today, because we are peeling back the curtain on a very special community and tossing and cutting them down to size, if you will. This is, as always, Super Despair World, your favorite 8.5 out of 10 podcast in Japan. I'm feeling good today. I'm ready to throw some stones, pitch some bricks. But before we dive right into it, just want to remind all the nice little pebbles in our pants that if you love the cutting edge reporting we bring you guys every single week, feel free to show us some love on the Patreon and come shoot your shot in the Discord. Today is quite a special day. This is maybe old news by now, but we record whenever we can. So let's get into it. Dave, who the heck is this stonetoss character I keep hearing so much about lately?
Oh man, Stonetoss has been a person of interest for me for a while. I think he's a really interesting dude. Because and let me preface this by saying, and this could be a hot take, but I don't think it is, because I've seen all the criticism for this dude's comics, and they'll be like, his art style sucks, and he ripped off Bone, and his comics are stupid and lame, and he's bad comic artist. I actually disagree with that. I think he actually has a really good command of the medium. He knows how to set up a 4-panel comic. He knows how to deliver a punchline. I think the art is simple, but it works for what he's trying to do. The problem is he's a fucking idiot and his politics suck.
Yeah, well, it really takes some stones to come out with a hot take like that, but yeah. So all the rock puns aside, yeah, Stonetoss has been like kind of a notorious character on the internet for a while, and it's not really like us to really dedicate like an entire like podcast episode to just like profiling some individual weird guy on the internet. We try to avoid like the drama channel, whatever business. But something very interesting has happened in the past week, which is the mysterious identity of this Stonetoss character has recently been revealed to Twitter, and that's been making a lot of rounds in the news.
Yeah, and it's not a big surprise, the details about this dude. What are some things of note that we learned about this fine gentleman?
Right. Well, to to lay things all out in the open, Stonetoss, he's been at it. I don't have an exact time frame, but he's been doing like the online webcomics thing for quite a few years now. Some people have probably seen his comics floating around, maybe some of the more innocuous ones, or maybe some of the worse ones. And we're not gonna like dance around and do like a whole like both sides thing, like we're like completely uncritical viewers or something here. I think it's obvious if you look at any of these guys' comics, this dude is like obviously just like a complete fascist. All his comics are like, what if the Holocaust was not what they say it was? They don't want you to think about that. Or like, all these people transitioning, something blue hair, suicide statistics, blah, blah, blah. Obvious piece of shit. And I will agree with you that, yeah, if you look at things from like just the perspective of like, oh, what makes a little funny little webcomic work? Yeah, he does have a lot of things down, like comedic timing. The comics, it seems like they spread around pretty well, because he does keep it like simple and punchy with the punchlines and everything. But yeah, he's been like a big figure in like online right-wing like meme kind of circles for a while, memes and shitposts and whatever. And as we've learned from the little thread that somebody did on x.com, which is no longer up, but you can still find it if you look around. The first thing you'll learn about Stonetoss is that he really looks like exactly like what you would imagine one of these guys to look like. Just the first image that comes to your head, it's pretty close.
Yeah, just a really standard looking kind of schlubby white guy. But which is fine in and of itself. The problem
is kind of like the Pillsbury Doughboy if those pastries were baked with hate instead of love.
Yeah, exactly, and which is fine. But when your political views are that you're part of the master race, that's when it kind of gets funny.
Well, he doesn't think he's the master race. He thinks he's the 8.5 out of 10 race.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if anybody took him up on that little tweet where he asked if any... Of course, he asked for white women only.
Yeah, he took a little trip to Japan. He had another tweet where he remarked that apparently nobody cares if you say the N-word over there, which I want to know what's the context of that? Is he just like, did he go to Japan and just start saying slurs to like random like convenience store workers?
Yeah,
or something?
Hey, they didn't care. They're probably just like, sir, this is a Family Mart. Why are you in here? Just
who's this ugly bastard, and why is he ordering ramen noodles in my shop?
Yeah. Why is he just screaming some word that I'm not really familiar with, and recording himself doing that? That's very strange.
Yeah. So first of all, very funny thing. Our boy Stonetoss. His name is Hans Christian Grebner. I don't know how to speak German. It's a very German sounding name, but interesting thing we learned in the background of his history is that he might have some like Latino heritage. Some of his family is from Puerto Rico, apparently. So, I don't know. There's a lot that can be said about how like fucking light-skinned Latinos are like some of the most racist people you've ever met. I've talked about this with a lot of friends of mine, and I don't know, it just seems like there's a lot of stereotypes on the internet that just kind of come together whenever guys like this get outed,
Shit, man, dark-skinned Latinos too. I've seen this, but it's yeah, I've definitely noticed that shit as well. And these are the people who will do like hashtag Latin pride, hashtag Latinx, hashtag this, and like when it's convenient to be a POC, and then when it's not, they're just like hide behind being white. But yeah, I mean, like that would definitely track with this guy, except for the Latino pride. The dude's probably trying to burn those records in an incinerator as quickly as he possibly fucking can right now.
Well, apparently there were some records that people dug up in the whole, reveal thread, and he did deliberately like black out his name from like some obituary records or something to that effect.
Oh shit! It was his Puerto Rican grandma or something like? Don't put me in there.
Yeah, something like that. It seems like he's definitely gone out of his way to like hide who he is. From what we know, some interesting work history. He's worked at a company that produces like soy products before, just like health foods or whatever.
Very ironic. Very ironic.
Yeah, well, some would say that working at every company is kind of soy.
Yeah, true. Yeah. If you work at a company, quit. Become a podcaster. That's the only noble job left in this hell world that we live in.
Yeah, I think Marx wrote about that. Like, podcasting is like the only ethical thing under capitalism. But I don't know. What do we know?
Yeah, we need less
podcasters.
We need less nurses and more podcasters in the world.
Yeah, true. And maybe, I don't know if we need more or less comic artists. I feel like we might have a few less after recent events.
True.
Yeah, also, it seems, at least currently, he might be working at some kind of tech company. He's posted about job openings for tech work in the Texas area.
Well, yeah, the one thing, that tweet where he was like asking for hot ladies to come meet him because he's an 8 out of 10 programmer who works at a U.S. company. I mean, of course a dude's a fucking programmer. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a programmer, but so many of these dudes, as you know, have this weird fucking god complex where because they learned the syntax of fucking C++ or Python, that they're just like fucking geniuses who just like manipulate code like they're in the fucking Matrix. And they're just so cool and brilliant. And it's like, nah, man, it's just a job like anything else. Like, Just
yeah,
chill
I mean,
out.
there's definitely been like an entire 10 years of like people on Reddit, or like maybe even in real life. Like I heard a lot about this when I was in school. Like, oh, you gotta get a job in STEM, science, tech,
Yep.
engineering, math. You gotta get those STEM jobs. That's how you get rich. That's reliable money. That's just do this and it'll all work out. And I guess a lot of people took up that advice, which is why those jobs are now like really oversaturated and hard
Yep.
to get into.
And that's a whole purpose with all of that shit, is to devalue those jobs so these companies don't have to pay anymore. Because at first it was learn to code, and then it's STEM, do STEM, which those go together. And then after that it was like, you learn to code? Why would you do that? Learn to weld. Yeah, go in, be a plumber. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not just basic economics. Maybe this is something that they orchestrated to get one up over on the humble webcomic artist.
There's got to be a stone toss comic about that. We'll have to find it.
Yeah, there very well may be. But, you know, we didn't plan to talk about our boy Stone Toss for the entire hour, but this is a good little segue. This is, if you will, our real agenda for bringing him up in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Stone Toss has a lot of running themes in his comics. There's a whole lot of stuff about like, oh, black people are not very smart. Oh, they're really uncivilized. Oh, trans people, they kill themselves a lot. There's a whole lot of running themes, all of them more like duplicitous and like awful than the last. But one of them is very interesting because we've in light of some things we've learned about Stone Toss, it paints kind of a broader picture. Something Stone Toss has done many little comics about is circumcision.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's enter the world of this. As we learned through the docs, if you will, Stone Toss has a number of like Reddit sock puppet accounts, which among other things he's used them to like promote his own comics, like talk highly of his own comics, like, ooh guys, I found just this cool little thing, check it out, I'm totally not the guy who made them. But he's done more than just promote his own work on Reddit. Under another username, Scythe-01, or is it 001? It doesn't matter, but under his Reddit account, he's posted not dozens, but hundreds of posts about male circumcision and the horror thereof.
Yeah, and that really tracks with a guy like this, but we'll get into that one later. But let's explore the wide and wonderful world of Intactivists. That's what they call it.
Let's cut to the chase. Let's peel things back.
Hey, let's pull things back and cut to the chase, baby. We're talking about Intactivists.
Yeah. This is the wide world of Intactivists, and I guess you could think of today's episode as a little bit of a continuation of the previous episode we did on men's like health, pseudoscience, mysticism stuff. A lot of the semen retention, the male intimate health stuff.
Yeah.
This is another one of those types of guys which we didn't cover the first time, but let's explore the world of Intactivists. An Intactivist is, maybe you can sum this up, Dave, because you had a lot better sources than I did when we talked about it.
Yeah, I don't know how that speaks to me. I do remember when we were DMing, I said something about like I got really distracted by looking at Foreskin material, so I'll be a little bit late. But yeah, I guess doing a deep dive on this shit it's pretty funny, but it also there's a bit of psychic harm to it. But what is an Intactivist? They're basically people who think that getting circumcised is bad. And there's so many reasons that they give for this. Sure, I mean, we can kind of say, like, it's weird when you think about it. Like, why are we doing this?
Maybe let's start off, like, on a serious note. we're putting on our serious hats right now and getting our actual opinion out there so we can spend most of the rest of today riffing on this. But like, okay, circumcision is like, it's kind of a weird thing, right? Like, by all accounts, it is not medically necessary for the vast majority of people, certainly not for people like immediately as they're born, right? It's kind of like a religious cultural thing. I, for one, I don't think people should do it to kids, because that's very much like a permanent life decision that the person affected by it has no say over for the most part, right? So I wouldn't say I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird. Like, and there's a lot of like historical and anthropological theories on why this was some sort of cultural materialism that people did. I think most of it was like a cleanliness thing, but it's like, guys, learn to wash your dick. Like, I think would be so much easier for like older men to tell younger men like how to wash their dick properly than just we'll just cut it off.
Those young boys, they need to clean their rooms and clean their penis.
They're not cleaning their penises anymore.
How can you expect to change the world with a dirty cock?
Just shoveling handfuls of benzos in your mouth while you cry about circumcision.
Thanks, Dr. Peterson.
Yeah, I think Jordan's he's got to be one of those too. Like,
I feel like people do not end up like your boy Peterson without having a little something cut out deep inside them.
Yeah, one of many things.
Take a shot, by the way, every time I make a joke about cutting today.
Yeah, or stones. I mean, you have to rewind for those, but yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
The cut happens close to the stones, if you will.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. So circumcision. It's not great. I have like no problem with like lots of people. Well, I won't say lots, but there are people out there who choose to get circumcised as an adult or like a teenager or something. That's their own decision. I know lots of people who like go through their entire life circumcised, and they never really think much of it. It's not a big deal for most people, right?
Yeah and that's a thing too. I don't think it's some like deep baggage that a lot of guys carry with them. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, actually that is weird, maybe we shouldn't do that. And I've talked to some of my friends with young boys, and they're just like, I just didn't do it because like why, really? But I think that still happening.
Far be it for me, a trans woman, to tell any guy, how to feel about his own dick that God gave him, right?
Right.
Right. But the thing about the Intactivists is it's not just like a regular person like you or me, like the humble podcaster who says, this is kind of weird, maybe we shouldn't do it. To the Intactivist, the event where they had their foreskin lost, it's kind of like a defining feature of life, kind of like the original sin, kind of like the moment where everything went wrong, and they kind of blame that for a lot of their woes. And to be clear, sometimes a circumcision does not go off as planned. Like any medical procedure, mistakes can happen. To show, the most bare minimum amount of sympathy to the worst people on earth for a moment, it does seem like from the records of Stonetoss's posting on Reddit that he did have some kind of like botched circumcision, something that really gets in the way of like sexual performance or gratification or something. And that sucks. I can have a minimum amount of sympathy for pure baby yet to be vile webcomic artist Stonetoss as of however old he is. That kind of sucks. Rip to a real one.
for sure. And I mean, isn't that the point of every villain origin story? Is you're supposed to have like some kind of sympathy for them, and it explains why they turned out this way, but it's not complete apologia for why they became the way they were. They picked the dark path instead of the light path.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of brings us to the heart of what the Intactivist movement is, right? To these guys, it's not just like, oh, I think, this shouldn't be the default in a lot of like medical institutions or whatever. It's like there are some weird comparisons here. So something I've seen in a lot of like intactivist spaces is like weird comparisons between like regular circumcision and like female genital mutilation, which they do in like a lot of countries in like the third world or whatever. And that's genuinely like torturous. Like it's very painful. It'll fuck you up for life. It's not like a circumcision, which like countless people live their entire lives without having an issue with it. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think the point of female, and I'm not an expert on this, even though we have touched on this in my undergrad anthropology career, especially when we're talking about like cultural relativism. It's not always we can't, and like fuck that. Like, no, dude, there is some objectively bad culture. Fuck you. But anyways, that's a little bit besides the point. But I think the point of that is to remove any sort of pleasure that a woman can have from sex, so that they just become like docile slaves. Which that's a little bit different than male circumcision, where you can still enjoy sexual activities. I mean, as far as like you have less sensitivity and shit like that, that's a matter that's a bit up for debate as far as I know. But yeah, like they're not in the same fucking category at all.
Right, yeah. It needs to be said that like when these intactivist guys like claim that something like really horrific was done to them, this position of victimhood, is it really victimhood if like many people like live their entire lives through that and it's like never a big deal for them? I've seen plenty of guys that just like don't think twice about it. They seem to have perfectly normal, healthy sex lives to no detriment of the thing. Not that I would know myself, but
No, we're all just cucks. Like we're just we're cucked, blind sheeple who did not wake up and did not see the chains that bind us via our missing foreskin.
Yeah, maybe we haven't taken enough of those red pills or the red panels or whatever Stonetoss's old comic was called.
Yeah, well, wasn't red panels? Oh no, that's bread pains. That was the like anti-Stonetoss comic. Which he'll get his due on our show soon. Yeah, enough, but not today. Yeah, okay. We'll get back to that.
Unlike Stonetoss, who is missing his foreskin, I think bread pains is like nothing but foreskin. So that's just how the universe works.
Just one giant foreskin.
Just a very flaccid individual, all things considered.
A foreskin grown in a lab, which, by the way, we're going to get to later, that was just trained to write really bad webcomics.
Yeah, I think the whole, well, yeah, we'll talk about the procedure in a bit, but the reason I wanted to bring up the whole like comparisons to female genital mutilation is it seems to me like it's kind of a trend you've seen in a lot of discourse on the internet about, I'll call these like disingenuous arguments against like imaginary feminists, right?
Yes.
A lot of the trends in the intactivist sphere on the internet seems to be like these kind of like bad faith arguments, like how can you claim to care about consent or like women when you won't look at my pet issue and put aside everything else to cater to me, which it's complete bullshit. Like these comparisons are not like on equal footing, just like it's a world apart, the whole genital mutilation versus circumcision thing. Yeah.
And I think like when I was trying to piece all this together, because I mean at first glance it's kind of just like a funny curiosity, but it's kind of like when you think about it more, it's like, what the fuck is up with these dudes? And I think it is really just like a really vain attempt to gain some sort of victim status, where it's just like, yeah, well, you might have been sexually assaulted, but like have you considered that I was mutilated as a child? So, like, you need to stop bitching about that and think about me. Think about my dick. I'll show you a picture. What's your
Let
email
me take out
address?
my wallet. Yeah.
That would be funny. It's like one of the old timey like photo wallets that's supposed to be a bunch of like tiny pictures of your child, and it's just like like their dick just from a bunch of different angles.
Tiny pictures of your other child.
Yeah, and then the last one is just a foreskin with wings on it, like flying away.
I'm glad you bring that up, because another thing that these guys remind me closely of is you see that a lot of the homemade like protest signs that these guys will create, a lot of them feature like blood stains and like images of like crying like blood-stained babies or whatever, and it reminds me a lot of the quote-unquote activism you see around like anti-abortion people, where the thing is like, it's less about like, oh, here's my cause and like a good reason to support it. It's more like, look at this like disgusting, grotesque imagery. Doesn't this disgust you? Doesn't this like make you as viscerally mad as I feel all the time? And you know, there's something really suspect about that to me.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, it's not, hey, like rationally, like why are we doing this? I think this is a bad idea. Here's a good reason. It's like, no, you have to just like put like really inflammatory pictures and shove them in people's faces to try to like guilt them into giving a shit about your cause. And
you don't care about my cause? Why do you hate children? Why do you revel in the suffering of infants?
Why do you love children getting their dicks cut off? But I mean, I guess there's overlap with that, and the fucking trans panic freaks were just like, they're chopping off children's dicks.
Yeah, you know, I am really curious to understand like what is the overlap between the Intactivist community and maybe pro or anti-trans activism online. I have a feeling which way these guys lean, but we'll get into that soon.
Yeah, if the Venn diagram is not a circle with anti-trans people, it's pretty fucking close.
Well, I do have something a little bit later that might shake some of those assumptions, but we'll see. Yeah, going back to the whole like bad faith arguments or whatever, I've seen some random posts. This is not necessarily a full on Reddit episode, but you know, Reddit is the place where you can go to find just about anything on our wonderful broken internet nowadays. Someone on the Intactivism subreddit, they commented something along the lines of, I'll read it out loud here: I'd rather be raped than circumcised, sorry, by like at least 1,000, if not more. That got over 20 upvotes there. And you know, that's, I don't know, just again, a fucked up comparison, but if you're circumcised, it is not the same as being like sexually assaulted or raped.
Yeah, I'm going to weigh in on that one and say no, it's not. Yeah, it's not the same. 20 whole updates though, that's a heckin' chonker of a post.
Yeah, another person brings up a very curious statistic. They say only 2% of Norway's population is circumcised, and yet commits 80% of the rapes. Where have I heard a statistic phrased in this way before? Maybe in a Stonetoss comic.
First of all, where is that? Like, where are they the same people? Like,
I can only wonder. So,
are they inspecting the dicks of like the rapers? Just like, we found another one.
Well, you know, I can't claim to be an expert in like how crime and law enforcement works in the lovely country of Norway. But for those who are not like getting what we're putting down here, a lot of this rhetoric it sounds a lot like the what is it, the famous like
1350, yeah
1350, where this is something a lot of like racists and Nazis will say on the internet. It's a statistic which I think has been debunked, where they'll say something like, Black people are 13% of the population, but do like 50% of the crime. So I don't know when I hear these numbers phrased in terms of circumcised people doing all these crimes, something about that is very suspect to me, and it'll only get worse as we dive deeper.
To be clear, I think that statistic is actually correct, but the problem with it is, like, if you just say, 1350, well, you can't argue with facts, right? I'm just asking questions. Then, like, yeah, if you've like not even been able to graduate like a basic high school statistics class or do any sort of like thinking at all, you could just end there and just well okay. But from what I understand, it used to be true, or it's like kind of true, or it's maybe it's a little bit different. But like the thing is, most of that crime is done against each other in that demographic because obviously, like, you know, the inner city.
The reasons behind these numbers have to do with like history and like legal systems and social systems.
Historic racism, poverty, shit like that. Like when you live in the hood, you either do hood shit or you fucking you're the victim of some crime or some shit like that. But like, yeah, it's the same with this shit. It's just like, and that's a problem with statistics is like people like misuse them so much and just like, well, you know, like obviously the correlation causation bullshit that's been driven into the dirt. It's just like, oh, well, you know, when people eat ice cream, they drown in pools a lot. Like, ban ice cream, I guess. Like, I guess ice cream just like has a lower IQ than other treats.
Shut up. They don't want, we're not supposed to say that. No, but for real, there's something really, really bizarre about it too, because I guess if we're comparing things between, you know, the racists and the intactivists, I guess I would assume that most of the people in the intactivist camp are probably like circumcised themselves and like feeling some kind of way about it. Sure. So what does it say when they post things like, oh, I guess circumcised people commit most of the crimes? Like, is there something you want to share with the class? Like, did being circumcised like drive you to like loot a Walmart of like electronics or something?
No. Sure. It's only Norwegians. I'm just saying, it's only Norwegians.
That's very weird. Another thing highly updated on Intactivism is a Stonetoss comic of all things. So this one, there's 4 panels to it. First panel is like a wife and a husband about to have sex, and the husband goes, consent. And then the next 3 panels are like the woman in the hospital pregnant, and the doctor goes, consent, and I guess she gives the baby over to be circumcised or something. And, you know, this was posted about 2-3 years ago. So this was before we knew a number of things about our favorite webcomic artist.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because usually these guys are like Christian nationalists, so they just think that like anything that's like associated with like Christianity and, you know, traditional Western values are good. But this is when we see his personal philosophy bleed into his overarching just bog standard bullshit right-wing takes on everything. So this is, I think, pretty strong evidence that this guy is a huge intactivist.
Yeah, over 300 updates on that, by the way. Another post from Intactivism. Shout out to Candace Owens. And I'm not going to read whatever dumb shit she wrote on Facebook or something, but Candace Owens, another notorious like ghoul on the online right, just an absolute like sock puppet of a person. Yeah. She'll say anything if paid enough, and most of the things she'll put out there are just like completely vile. I think she had something about like, oh, Hitler just wanted to make Germany great again or something, and that got like very weird applause a while back.
Yeah, she's even lower than subhuman pieces of shit like fucking Ben Shapiro and shit, because the only reason she's trotted out by these like Koch brother funded places because she's a black woman. They don't give a shit about her or anything she has to say or her delivery or anything. They're just like, black woman, yeah, gotcha, okay, cool. Say this stupid bullshit.
And it's all complete bullshit too, because even before she was like pandering to right-wingers or something, she tried to do the same thing, but like from a progressive slant. Like she first came into the spotlight for like some kind of like anti-bullying thing, like, oh, we'll bully online cyber bullies and like organize and like dox them or something. And it's like, no, that's not good, even if it's for like quote unquote woke reasons or something about that.
Yeah.
I think she also tried to like sue a university she went to for something about like what do they call it, affirmative action reasons or whatever. It just complete nonsense. But the point I bring this up is because it kind of calls to question like the integrity of a movement where you take a relatively good idea, like maybe it's not great to just like do this procedure to like babies by default. Maybe we should just like not do it. Maybe it should just be for adults or something. But then you see like all these like weird grifters and like really like extreme like political mouthpiece like type people like come to rally behind your cause. I don't know, it kind of calls things into question.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like everything I've seen about this whole discourse has been like absolutely insane people. Definitely with some like very personal, very inflammatory agenda with some fucking axe to grind because they like don't like their dick or they're just like bad at sex or anything like that. And like you said before, like if you had some sort of botched circumcision, like that sucks. I do feel for you. But it's just like, stay the fuck away from these people because they're not doing you any favors here. Like the rational way to get this pushed through is just get a panel of like MDs to just be like, yeah, not really necessary anymore. Like, you know, people who are having kids now, consider not doing this because it's really not necessary. More harm than good. Teach your kid how to wash your dick. Let's be done with it. But instead,
wash
like,
your dick and clean your room. A clean room is like a clean cock.
Do not get your woke moralist hands off my dick, you pieces of fucking trash.
I will not have a Marxist cock.
Postmodern Marxist dick cutters, get the hell out of here. But the thing is with these people, it's like, man, and I keep coming back to this because this is my fucking soapbox to stand on with so many of these fucking episodes and all the shit we talk about. It's just like, holy shit, I almost fucking choked and died. But this is how strongly I feel about it. But can we stop turning everything into a fucking identity, man? Just being like mad about your dick getting cut is not an identity. Get a fucking hobby, man. Just care about something else. Just don't be weird about it. Like, fuck. I don't know.
How hard is it to go through life and like every time you meet a new person, but you know, maybe I'm assuming too much. Maybe they just don't meet new people. But in my head, I think, how weird is it to like try to go through life and like meet new people, and at some point in your relationship with them you have to explain like, yeah, I'm all about this like circumcision thing. I'm all about activism for like not circumcising people on the internet. This is just like what I do with all my free time, you know. It's a bizarre thing. It's like, I don't know, I think when you fall into this kind of like weird, like insular, like kind of like extreme, like political thing, it just kind of isolates you from other people, and you find yourself only surrounded by other people with a similar axe to grind.
And that's the thing too, is like, even being like a fascist or like one of those like red communist weirdos who like LARPs is like a USSR commandant or some shit, like at least that's like an overarching big political thing that would affect a lot of things about life. But like this is the thing that you like spend all your time thinking about. Like, it's just so it's so strange. Like it's so
the most revolutionary thing you can do is cut down your foreskin like Mao cut down the landlords.
Yeah. Maybe there's probably a lot of overlap with the with the people who want to join the glorious People's Republic.
We'll take a peek behind the Berlin Wall on another episode, but for now,
I want to see Kim Jong-un's dick. I don't. He's probably not cut, right? He was educated in Europe. Do you think he got?
I'll be honest. Your boy Kim Jong kind of looks just like the whole of him. Kind of looks like an uncircumcised dick. You know?
Yeah. So even if he is. He's got enough foreskin.
I feel like one day it'll come time to elect a new supreme leader, and they'll just like peel him back, and you'll get a new one underneath.
Yeah, he just molts his skin like a fucking snake.
The dear 4 leader. I don't know where I'm going with this. We are off the rails, but okay. The last thing I wanted to explore on the Reddit side of things. So we've seen like the weird side of it, the unreasonable, like the weird, like hateful online far right side of things. This is another post just to kind of like illustrate how sad this stuff is. This is from a subreddit called r/circumcision grief, and this person writes. I don't know if I'm going to read this entire post, but the post opens and it goes, "Rejecting my physical body and thus the physical world along with it, flared with trauma." This person says, "As soon as I was born, my physical body was altered by an ape with silver tools. That's my first experience of humankind. Now I know why I was born to be a revolutionary, and why every human is born to be a revolutionary. Society is a sport, and it only cares about those who come out on top, or those who benefits from the structure. We actually live in a meat mincer. How is it grinding up you today? All I do is wake up and put sugar in my mouth so I don't put a gun in it instead. Inhale smoke of plants so I don't decide to inhale carbon monoxide instead. I'm giving up everything. I'm giving up my body. I'm giving up on the physical world. Never had much faith to begin with." No punctuation, by the way. "To the federal agents watching this sub, take a good look at yourselves in the mirror. Take a good look at yourselves in the mirror when you log off. That's really all it should take at this point, but I bet you stopped self-reflection a long time ago. If there was justice, you feds would be the ones suffering mentally and posting on here, and we mere plebeians would be monitoring you. If only I was an ape that had access to mass instruments of surveillance. Oh, if only. You know the power structure you serve doesn't give a fuck about you either, right? Stop being a fucking rat in the system and serve the greater." And that's where the post cuts off because it's just a screenshot.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I really, the NSA agent who read that and just completely was like, you know what? They're right, God damn it, and just walked
it's like a
right
fucking
out.
scene out of V for Vendetta where he's like, he's right, and the person just like immediately takes their pants off and takes to the streets or something.
Yeah, fucking incredible. Yeah, holy shit. What a
I got a little carried away there. I got a little emotional reading this.
Yeah, I wanted to shovel some benzos into my mouth with that one. But yeah, I like that this person just like, yeah, the reason I'm addicted to smoking and sugar is because my dick, and it's because the feds like forced them.
I think there was something about weed in there too, like the smoke of plants or something. Like that's a weird way to talk about weed.
I would assume it's weed. It could be tobacco as well, and then sugar. Like they can't stop going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because their foreskin is gone. The foreskin would have had them eating a healthy whole grain diet.
If only they had their foreskin, they might only be ordering DoorDash 3 times a week instead of 5.
Yeah, they could use their foreskin to tap the add to cart button on
yeah, some
phone.
say that in ancient times our forebearers did this. Okay, that joke shouldn't have made the cut.
We're leaving it in. We're leaving it in.
Yeah, I've no shortage of these, but yeah, Yeah, man, where even were we? I guess the point I was making is that, it's really sad to like base your entire life around this like weird grievance.
Yes.
Circumcision grief of all things. Good Lord.
For sure. And we see that, of course, Reddit is always just a reflection of the darkest corners of society, but I think this extends beyond Reddit as well. I think there's
some say if you gaze long enough into Reddit gazes back into you, but there are yet darker corners of the internet. Maybe we can explore one of these websites. Are you thinking of the one I'm thinking of?
Oh yeah. Let's
enter the world of this is bloodstainedmen.com, an activism group dedicated to the world of intactivism. And I will say the first thing you see when you go to their website is like a panning shot of one of their protests, but like dominating the camera for just like a few seconds in the first frame is just like some random person's dog, like taking their dog on a walk, before you see the sign behind them about vote no on circumcision, I did not consent, circumcision destroys 16 plus functions, whatever. And these guys are I don't know, maybe you could talk a little bit about their very unique fashion sense here, Dave.
Yeah, so they wear all white, like a very bizarre cult, and then they paint their crotch region red, which I guess is supposed to symbolize that they're blood-stained men, of course.
Yeah, and every single one of these guys has, I don't know the term, it's like a fishing hat, like a bucket hat. I know when my dad was still kicking, this was like the only kind of hat he wore. Every single one of these guys at the protest looks like they're knocking on at least like 50 or 60 years old, which again is a very, I don't know, I can't really imagine the kind of like roller coaster tycoon like freak ride that your life must take in order to wind up at that age doing this sort of thing in your spare time. But it's just a very bizarre movement, and they have a very bizarre website.
Yeah, and they have some pretty interesting signs. One of my favorites is "Nobody wants less penis," and like true, honestly.
Oh, that's a really good one, actually. Let's see. There are some. They have an entire page of like DIY signs that you can print and bring to protest yourself. Some of them, penis cutting is a sex crime, which I'm not sure if it is. Yeah. I don't think that's quite the same. I think we've kind of made that point earlier. Honk if you love foreskin.
I'm gonna print that one out for sure.
Yeah, maybe hang that up on my wall. I mean, I don't know, like I don't dislike foreskin. I've never really thought of it as separate from the rest of the dick, but I guess that separation is the whole crux of their grievance here, right?
I'm gonna put that on my mom's lawn and see how long it takes her to take it down. I'm gonna keep putting it back up too.
Yeah, circumcision is medical fraud. I don't know about that. I mean, like all the cases of it happening are because like medical boards were fine with it, and from what I understand in more and more places nowadays, it's not like a default thing for newborn babies or whatever.
Yeah, it's I don't think they're like, hey, you better do this. I think a lot of people just assume it's the thing. One of my favorites is there's a picture of all these blood-stained men and women standing in front of the Capitol building. One of them, the sign is "Occupy Foreskin."
Occupy Foreskin.
He thought he was cooking with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a very bizarre one. I have another favorite of mine. Where is it here? Okay, so all of these signs are in English, but there's exactly one in Spanish, and forgive me in advance for putting on my very gringo voice here, but the sign reads, no corten pene de baby. Don't cut the baby penis. That's very bizarre. I don't know.
That's good, man. It's, crossing cultural boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, fuck, I don't know. Mexico's like, don't they lean very Catholic? I'm pretty sure Latinos overall are very Catholic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is that a thing among Catholics? Do Catholics circumcise much?
I think,
I'm not sure.
well, Catholics are the most ritualistic of all of the Christian tribes. So I would assume that that's just like, if you're actually a Catholic, that's just what you do. Like, you don't even question it. It's just like, that's...
Well, it's kind of yes and kind of no. The thing about Catholics that's very weird is, like, you have people that were, like, born and raised and spent their entire lives in the Catholic Church, and they're just like, yeah, I guess sometimes we just do this little prayer, or, like, I guess we give money to poor people sometimes or whatever. And then you have, like, people who, like, converted to Catholicism, like, 6 months ago, and they talk like a fucking, like, space marine for Warhammer 40K, you know, about, like, ordering exterminatus on the minorities or something.
Yeah. I would assume...
That's the more ritualistic side of it.
Yeah, I think... I don't know. The Catholics are weird just from, like, in my experience, because they either really go ham on all of that shit, or they're just like, yeah, but we just, like, we go to church sometimes and, like, do a little prayer fucking thing, and then we actually don't give a shit about anything. They're both the people who care the most about, like, rituals, or just don't care about Christianity at all.
Yeah, I can't really speak much to this because, as some viewers may know, I come from a Romanian family, and growing up, we were, like, all the religious stuff we did was, like, on the Orthodox side of things, and Orthodox Christianity is, like, alt-Catholicism, which for me and most
handling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for most of my life, the extent of my Orthodox upbringing was like people asking me like, "Hey, how is Easter?" And I would have to go, "It's mine's like in a month from now." Sorry, it was just Tuesday for me, you know. So that's I don't know what my people's stance on circumcision is, unfortunately.
Well, the Orthodox has a different Easter.
They have like their own entire calendar with slightly different days for a lot
do
of
they
the
use
holidays.
like the Gregorian calendar or some shit?
Yeah, I think so, something like that.
Yeah, fucking silly.
Yeah,
silly.
Yeah.
Basis.
Either I think Orthodox Easter for me is like sometime in April. I'm not sure, but either way. I thought this is a nice little segue point, because there's another part of their website where they offer instructions on how to create the little bloodstain symbol that they put over their pants, which from their banners I thought they just like stained the pants directly, but I guess it's like a thing you can just like clip onto any pair of pants.
Oh.
And thankfully for us, it's for everybody. They say the page opens, "Who can wear the bloodstain?" And they write, "The Bloodstained Man suit is for everyone. Cut men and intact men. Cut women and intact women. In short." Which that kind of threw me for a loop there.
They're fucking woke, dude.
Are they trans inclusive?
They're fucking woke. Holy shit.
Am I as an intact woman welcome in their spheres? What do they mean by that?
Honestly, I think that their hatred of circumcision would go against any transphobia that any of them have. You know, it'd be like Gimli and in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Gimli and Legolas in Lord of the Rings. It's just like, I don't die next to a trans woman. How about a fellow bloodstained man? I can do that.
Yeah, this really threw me for a loop there. I thought, okay, it can't be trans positivity. There has to be some greater explanation to this. And I couldn't find one for certain, but I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, when they say cut and intact women, are they talking about, like, victims of, like, female genital mutilation? Is that who they're considering? Maybe. But then at the same time, as we saw earlier, a lot of these guys are like really like equivocating their situation, and that I'm not sure. It's bizarre. And of course, from all the photos and videos we've seen, there are no fucking women at these protests. Let's not kid ourselves.
There's one or two in their photos. I mean, I'm sure they cherry pick like the least pathetic looking ones.
I thought I saw one for a second, but no, it's just another like 60-year-old like beard guy with like like dreads going down to his waist, which is very funny to me.
There's a good photo on the DIY activism one, the who can wear the bloodstain one. If you scroll all the way down, and it looks like a fucking like ZZ Top cover band.
I think that's who I was referring to.
These guys, all of these guys. Rule.
All of these guys are like Bloodstained ZZ Top fans.
Yeah, they play at Joe's Bar and Grill every other Thursday for fucking drink tickets.
Yeah, okay. I think we've had enough fun with the Bloodstained Men, but there was another thing. There was another angle to this, a more scientific, a more cutting edge technology, if you'll allow me one more pun.
Yeah.
Maybe you could open with this. You had a lot to say about this one.
Yeah, so you told me that that there's a possibility. There are allegations that our boy Stonetoss, to bring it back to the beginning of the episode, was a regular donor for some sort of like company that like regrows your foreskin.
Yes,
and,
so according to the docs, we do not know the exact name of the company that he was donating regularly to, but it claimed to be the world's first foreskin restoration company, and we might have it here before us.
Yeah, so this one we found on the Intact Wiki. Which apparently is a wiki.
It's the Intacta Wiki.
The Intacta Wiki. I'm sorry. It's the Intacta Wiki. They got good branding on this shit at the very least. But
I appreciate all their clever little names.
Yeah, there's a company called Foreskin, based out of Italy, which is just all about regrowing your foreskin, with I think like stem cells and shit. Or something like that.
Which is kind of ironic because the Italians are notoriously good at chopping meat into fine little bits. Get some of that gabagool.
And also, they're all fucking Catholics. So like this guy, hey, where the freak is my freaking foreskin? Hey, and it's so funny. Like if you go to there's like a board of directors so of course, just because of course, if you go to like the board of directors page, half of the people, or a few of them at least, were like involved in some like decentralized finance company CEO bullshit, which is fucking crypto nonsense.
These guys are like kind of like an ever-present feature of just like every company now. You just can't really get away from like weird tech guys. But I think for some of them, it might be there might be something intertwined here, some vested interest in this niche issue of theirs.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like it's an Italian company. I love that for one. I mean, it reminds me, like, if The Sopranos was really...
Just like Mama made them.
Yeah, The Sopranos was really just about, like, Tony's pissed off because somebody took his foreskin. He's like, Ma! You put the foreskin in the fucking baked ziti again. Ma!
Yeah, that show was famously cut short, just,
I went down to Jersey to get a foreskin. They only have black ones. What the... You get no fucking black foreskin. But
yeah, it's something all right.
This one, but this whole site is like it reads like a fucking bullshit crypto site. So it makes complete sense. There's a couple things of note that I found on there. Number one, you can donate, and there's like donation tiers, and they have a fucking Discord.
Yeah, which we did not infiltrate because it costs $5, and we're not spending like 1/6 of our income. On that.
I truly maybe someday we could revisit this and drop get the lowest tier just so we could. I'm so curious as to what goes on in there. I wonder if
maybe someone could throw them. Maybe someone could throw them a sinister $6 and do the inside scoop for us.
Yeah.
Get to the long and short of it.
But the last thing about this site that I found very I was trying to make a pun, but you've fucking used them all already. But this one is in their FAQ, and it's where does the donor foreskin actually come from? And it reads, the donor foreskin is taken from a consenting, potentially deceased adult male. The donor foreskin will undergo a process called decellularization that strips the foreskin of the donor's cells and DNA. It is then seeded with your own DNA to regenerate the structures of the foreskin, which means the foreskin will be truly yours. What the fuck?
This reminds me of, I think we talked briefly about it maybe in our like end of the year wrap up episode when we talked briefly about like the weird IDF bullshit going on where they'll milk semen out of dead soldiers' dicks on the battlefield to like impregnate their wives or something. And I'm like, how long until we start, like claiming the foreskins off of the fallen soldiers in Gaza to make some other man intact? But would they do that?
Yeah, there'll be a competing Israeli company that's just like, yeah, we got the...
No. The thing is, like, Israeli, like, would they be in favor? Because, the whole...
Oh.
They're kind of about the whole circumcision thing. That's kind of their deal.
They'll sell foreskins to the goyim, but they're not gonna regrow their own foreskins. That would be...
You're not supposed to say that. No, I'm just kidding. We disavow stone toss in every way. Yeah, this just I really don't want to say cutting edge science again, but it is a very bizarre research project, if you will.
This does seem like bullshit to me, but if this is like a real company and they're actually doing for some reason they have a lead veterinary scientist on their board, which that's
I want to know how many apes they've circumcised to get these results.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why they just got a bunch of fucking chimps and they're just like fucking with their dicks all the time. It is a white woman after
and then they can move on to the gorillas like stone toss.
He'll be the first in line. This is gonna be like a Black Mirror episode where Stone Toss just has like the most. It's like he has the most out of control foreskin and won't stop growing, and it's like an echidna, and we have to like destroy him.
I think the real Black Mirror episode for Stone Toss, and if you'll see what I'm putting up here, is he goes through with the foreskin restoration thing, and he's waking up on the hospital bed, and he's like, I'm sorry, we only had one penis that would fit your dick, and he looks down and he now has like the foreskin of a black man.
Hey, what the hell?
Just cut to Black Mirror.
That would be fucking awesome. That would be awesome. It's like a monkey's paw thing where he's just like, all I want is my foreskin back. And it's like, oh no, actually, no. And then just like the foreskin just takes over and it turns him black, like his entire body.
Yeah, well, Black Mirror needs to be like something about technology. So maybe his foreskin, like it's his the head of his dick, but it has a head of its own, and it starts posting to social media and making its own like shitty webcomic.
Yeah. It becomes a SoundCloud rapper and like really blows up and like goes has a career of its own that overshadows Stone Tosses, and he just becomes like really pissed off about it. And then then at the end he recircumcises himself. That's where it goes full circle.
Yeah, it goes down to the ultimate showdown where he's like, I've had enough of this Black Mirror head dick. And he just, I don't know.
I consent.
We are completely off the rails today. This is I don't even know where to pick things back up from here.
Well, I guess the last thing we should touch on here, just to wrap things up, is why are all of these foreskin nuts, the Intactivists and whatever, why are they all fucking like alt-right weird Nazi adjacent fucking.
This is like the villain origin story, right? This is like how like Batman villains come to be. It's like if it wasn't for the circumcision, it would just be like any other of a dozen like perceived like grievances against them in their life that they would seek to build an identity off of. I remember around like 10 years ago, something around like the start of the original Gamergate or whatever or something, I was reading a lot of these articles about how notorious ghoul who should not be on this earth, Steve Bannon, very famous like far right guy, he got his start in like radicalizing like lonely gamers in like World of Warcraft, and that's kind of how like a lot of the far right shit you see nowadays kind of took on the character of like weird like 90s 2000s online trolling groups or whatever. You know, it's just a lot of like really like lonely, insecure, like frustrated kind of guys who are just like given like a cause and a grievance and like a target to go after, which I don't know, it's something to like dedicate their lives to, but it's just a very like, it's just a very misguided kind of crusade, you know what I mean?
Sure. And I think I think it's a very convenient scapegoat for some guys who might have some sort of sexual issues, whether that's like physical or mental or whatever, where it's just like, oh no, it's not because I had trauma in my life. It's not because I have like some shit I need to work through when I can't like have relationships that are healthy or whatever. Oh no, it's because I got circumcised. I feel like in previous episodes we've kind of touched on like similar communities where it's just like, here's a complex problem, solution. Oh, it's this one thing. If only this wasn't this way, then I'd be fine. I'd be completely fine. I don't need to think about myself. I don't need to look inwards at all. I don't need to go to therapy. I don't need to do anything. It's just like, I'll just be mad because I got circumcised. Like, boom.
And the case is, in the rare instance where these people do fix that one slight thing wrong with them, they're still not happy. They never are.
They'll find another thing to fucking bitch about.
There's a lot of guys who like resent that nothing is going on in their life because they're like poor or something. And you know what? That sucks. I'm poor. A lot of us are poor, but you know, some of these guys, they'll fall into like a lot of money very suddenly, and they're still miserable fucks. Look at like
Elon
what's his
Musk?
name? The guy that
the most divorced man of all time.
Very true, but I was gonna say the guy who made Minecraft, you know, he sold that to Microsoft for billions of dollars, and then he like built like some shitty mansion in LA with like a wall full of candy, but like nobody ever came to visit him, so all the candy just like rotted on the wall or something. Just completely absurd. If you ever feel like there's just like one thing wrong in your life and like everything would be okay if you just fix that, it's probably not just that one thing. There's probably a lot you can do to feel better about your life, even if you're always burdened, you know, by certain problems. A lot of us, like, we're never gonna have a lot of money in life. We're fucking podcasters, right? So like, far be it for us to tell you like, oh, just keep hustling and grinding away and everything will get better. Oftentimes it won't, but you know, like, I don't know, healing starts inside and not like on the tip of your dick.
Facts. And I will just say to all my to my struggling young men, a piece of advice: I am broke and circumcised, and I women love me. Just because I don't give a fuck about either of those things. You could do this too. You could be a podcaster. You could. I wouldn't recommend it, but
you know, let me tell you, as having the opposite perspective here, as an intact trans woman, if you ever feel like down on your dick, consider HRT. It will feel better in someone's mouth or your own mouth if you're flexible. It'll smell better. It'll be nice and smooth. I don't know. Just think about it. Just planting some ideas out there. Just tossing little brain waves out into the podcast sphere.
just go to the merch store and buy the Super Despair World energy drink. It's totally FDA approved.
Yeah, make sure you drink it at least once a day. For a couple months.
Once a day, and report back on us how it makes you feel.
Tell us how you feel about it in the Discord. Maybe post some pictures. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want to see your bodies.
Yeah. This the Discord is for pictures of plants and animals only. It's a flora and fauna Discord.
Yeah, and animals does not include your fat hog. Okay, cut or uncut, doesn't matter. We don't want to see
get
it.
that fucking hog out of here. I don't want to see no fucking hogs.
Oh, I think we've run the well dry on this one. I think we've kind of made our point.
Yeah, that was
nice and short.
Just yeah, I don't want to cut this episode short, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what else is there to say? I guess we could maybe it's time to thank our patrons. I think that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, and if we're gonna put a role in the Discord for your foreskin or nah. That's
I'll set up the roll bot to just assign those. There'll be like a little emoji you can click on.
Yeah, it's gonna be mandatory too. If you
it's
don't,
gonna be there'll be an eggplant emoji and like a scissors emoji.
It's like a census. Like you have to participate, and if you don't, the feds come after you. Just like that one deranged Redditor.
Yeah, if you love deranged surveys, be sure to sign up for the Discord and maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. Maybe sending us a sinister $6, like any of these lovely people, including Clam, Nick, Protagon, Shalom Guy, and Trash Bins. We love you guys so much.
Holy shit! That's a fucking squad right there.
Yeah, those are the real ones. But we also love all you guys in the comments below. Everybody who listens, everybody who has the good sense to not post comments on the internet. We love you, even if you're bad for our engagement.
Yeah, but post it if you're thinking about posting a comment. Just fucking do it, man. Just
tell us about the state of your dick down below and how it makes you feel about minorities.
Yeah. If you got measurements, just. Yeah, tell us everything about your foreskin.
Hey everybody, it's Moist Critical here. Just want to talk a little bit about some critical damage done to my little moisty.
Yeah, we got I've been seeing some stuff on Twitter about being circumcised. I personally have been circumcised twice. I don't really see a big problem with it, but my foreskin is currently on sale in the merch shop, so check that out.
Look what they did to my innocent boy Charlie. He's just running his YouTube channel talking about stupid viral videos, and they made fun of his cock.
They took his foreskin away, and it's now in the Smithsonian Museum. And now people are gawking at it, and it makes me very upset. My foreskin isn't there. And
I'm Steamboat Willie. I'm in the public domain.
Hey, go. All right, anybody who's listened this long, I'm sorry. Before the beginning,
it's all downhill from here, folks.
Yeah. The episode was good until now. We're gonna leave that in, but
all right, okay. Goodbye. Good night, everyone.
Fuck yeah. Good fight. Good night.